My name is Cassie Morgan. I'm 30, an interior designer who can walk into a cramped, suffocating room and instantly see how to open it up, where the light should fall, what needs to be torn down. I thought I was good at fixing spaces, until I realized my own family was the one thing I couldn't redesign. I was at my small studio, a floor plan half finished in front of me, when my phone buzzed with a new message from my father. "You're not invited to our anniversary party tonight. We're keeping it small. I hope you understand." No fight, no build-up, just a clean cut. I stared at the screen, reading it again and again, like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something less brutal. You ever get that kind of message from someone who's supposed to love you unconditionally and feel your stomach drop like an elevator with the cable cut? I'd helped pay off their late bills for years, covered the mortgage when they just needed a few months, quietly sent money for taxes while they smiled in family photos. Apparently, the money was invited. I wasn't. 2 hours later, a notification popped up from my brother's account. I opened social media and there it was. A photo from their anniversary party. The table, the cake, the candles. My parents and my brother squeezed together, grinning. The caption under it read, "Family only." That two-word caption burned hotter than any insult. I felt something in me snap into place, not break. I took a breath, hit like, and typed the comment with fingers that didn't even tremble. "Congrats! Mortgage and taxes are all yours now." I knew exactly what I was saying. I knew exactly who else would understand it. 15 minutes later, the post was gone, wiped like it had never existed, and my screen lit up with 68 missed calls. They hadn't panicked when they cut me out of the party. They panicked when I stopped staying quiet. Before I tell you what happened when I finally faced them, and how one comment started to dismantle years of family lies, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are, and where are you watching from? I want to see just how far this little family secret travels. By the time my phone showed 68 missed calls, my studio was dark except for the pool of light over my drafting table. My latest project, a young couple's living room, lay in front of me. Clean lines, bold colors, a space designed to feel like safety and honesty. Funny, right? I zoomed out of the floor plan and into my own life, where nothing felt safe or honest at all. My call log was a wall of the same 3 words: Mom, Dad, Unknown. The group chat family sat at the top of my messages with a fat, unread badge. I knew exactly what was waiting there: crisis, guilt, and suddenly discovering I existed again. I opened it anyway. "What were you thinking posting that? Delete it now, people can see. You're overreacting. This isn't the place for drama. Not one, 'Are you okay?' Not one, 'I'm sorry.' Just panic that their perfect image might crack." Then my brother slid into my DMs. "What's wrong with you? You know why we didn't invite you. We didn't want tension tonight. Take the comment down before Dad has a heart attack." It was almost funny. Not the heart attack part, but the way he wrote "we" like a team, like they'd discussed me and decided I was the problem to keep off stage. I scrolled up to the screenshot I'd already saved. The photo, the family-only caption, my comment right under it. Receipts. People had already liked it. One of my cousins had replied with a single wide-eye emoji before the whole post disappeared. They wanted to erase the evidence. Not this time. I set my phone down, opened my laptop, and logged into my banking app. My monthly automatic transfer to Family Mortgage glowed on the screen, right on schedule, like a loyal little soldier. I hovered the cursor over the cancel button and thought about every time I'd wired money at the last minute so they wouldn't lose the house. Every "we'll pay you back" that never materialized. Every holiday they'd toasted "how blessed we are" without ever saying my name. I clicked cancel. Then I opened the property tax account and turned off that autopay too. Just like that, the invisible umbilical cord I'd been feeding them with for years went dead. My phone buzzed again. This time, instead of ignoring it, I typed a single message in the family chat. Just to clarify, my comment was accurate. As of next month, I won't be covering the mortgage or taxes. I'll send you a breakdown of everything I've paid so you can plan. Happy anniversary. I hit send and sat back, my heart pounding in a way that felt less like panic and more like freedom trying to stretch. Have you ever realized in one brutal moment that loyalty without respect is just you slowly bleeding out for people who never bring bandages? My screen lit up with their replies, questions, accusations, emotional landmines. I muted the chat. Then an unknown number started calling, over and over, more stubborn than the rest. When I finally answered, it wasn't my father's voice I heard. It was the bank. 3 days later, I sat in an office colder than any living room I'd ever designed, hands clasped in my lap while a banker slid a thick folder toward me. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, reflecting off glass and metal. No warmth, no softness, just clean, unforgiving lines. "Ms. Morgan," he said, tapping the papers, "we flagged some activity on the mortgage tied to your name. We tried to reach you last week, but the number we had on file bounced. Someone called in right after you hung up the other day and tried to remove you from this account." I stared at the folder. The words, "tried to remove you," echoed like a bad joke. First the anniversary party. Now the house I'd kept from foreclosure more than once. I flipped the folder open. There it was. My parents' address, the loan number, and a set of electronic forms showing a recent increase in the mortgage amount. A neat little box at the bottom showed a digital signature. My name. Not my signature. "That's not mine," I said quietly. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Standard procedure. We have voice authorization from your father approving the change." I let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh. "I'm very sure." As he talked about fraud procedure and investigation options, my mind started stitching together timelines like I was rearranging a room in my head. Years ago, I'd turned down a dream offer from a big New York design firm because my parents had been on the verge of losing this house. They'd cried on the phone, told me they couldn't possibly do it without me. Back then, I'd signed the original refinance papers with shaking hands and this naive sense of pride that I was saving the family home. No one ever asked what that cost me. The job, the city, the future that had my name on it instead of theirs. Now I was staring at a forged version of that same signature, used to squeeze more money out of the property like it was an endless ATM with my name on the card. I ran my fingers over the edge of the paper, feeling its sharpness. In my head, two designs unfolded side by side like mood boards. In one, I did what I'd always done, cleaned up their mess quietly, let the bank correct the error, and went on paying while my family continued posting family-only captions without me. In the other, I treated this like any other project with rotten foundations. Strip everything down to the studs, expose what's hidden, and rebuild on my terms, even if it meant tearing the house out from under them. I looked up at the banker. "I want a full history of every change on this loan since my name was added," I said. "Dates, amounts, who authorized what. And I want it emailed to me too." He nodded, already clicking. "And if someone signs my name again," I added, "I need that flagged as fraud immediately. I'll handle the rest." As I walked out of the bank with that folder pressed to my chest, I wasn't just carrying documents. I was carrying 10 years of proof that my love had been converted into numbers and signatures without my consent. If the people who raised you will sign your name on debt without asking, are they still family? Or just strangers who know your childhood nickname? I got into my car, the folder on the passenger seat like a silent witness, and knew exactly what my next step had to be. This time, I wouldn't just confront them about a party. I was going to confront them about everything. That night, my studio looked less like a workspace and more like an evidence board. On one side of the big table lay my clients' color swatches and texture samples. On the other, the bank printouts, highlighted and tabbed. My life as I wanted it, and my life as my family had used it, sitting side by side. Katie dropped her bag by the door and walked over, her eyes widening as she took in the layout. "Okay," she said slowly, "this is either your most ambitious design project yet, or you're about to burn something down." "Maybe both," I replied. I walked her through everything: the text that uninvited me, the family-only post, my comment, the 68 calls, the bank's discovery, the forged signature. With each detail, her expression sharpened from sympathy into anger. "Cassie, this isn't just disrespect," she said. "This is theft. Emotional and literal theft." She picked up one page and squinted. "They increased the mortgage to help your brother start that business, didn't they?" I hesitated, then nodded. "He called it an investment the family would benefit from. I didn't even know the money came out of the house again until today." Katie let out a low whistle. "Do you remember that barbecue years ago?" she asked suddenly. "The one where your family invited me over?" I frowned, then shrugged. "Sort of." "I do," she said. "I got there before you. Your dad was telling someone, we've sacrificed so much for Cassie. If we didn't support her little design hobby, she'd still be lost. Your mom laughed and said you were too sensitive, that you'd fall apart if life got hard. They talked like you were a charity case, while you were literally paying for their house." The words landed like a final nail in a very old coffin. All those times I'd wondered if I was being dramatic, if I'd misread things. They hadn't just used me. They'd rewritten the story completely. "You've been treating your family like a room you can fix with better lighting," Katie said gently. "But the wiring is bad, Cass. You don't patch that. You rip it out." I sank into my chair, staring at the floor plan on the left and the loan history on the right. "What do I even do?" I asked. "Go nuclear? Sell the house out from under them?" "You do what you'd do with any other client who violates a contract," she replied. "You show them the terms, you enforce the boundaries, and you document everything. This isn't about revenge for the sake of drama. It's about consequences. They've gotten used to you cushioning every fall." She grabbed a pad of sticky notes and started labeling pages. Original refinance. Unauthorized increase. Payments by Cassie. My name, in black and white. "You don't need to scream or explode," Katie said. "Walk in there like a professional. This is a business conversation that happens to involve your blood relatives." We drafted an email together, each sentence like a brick. "Attached is a summary of all payments I have made toward the mortgage and taxes over the past 10 years. I will no longer be financially responsible for this property. We need to discuss how to unwind our financial ties and address the forgery of my signature." In the subject line, I typed, "Regarding the house and our agreement." I hovered over the send button, my pulse loud in my ears. "Once you send this," Katie said softly, "you can't unsend it. Are you ready to stop being the one who always fixes the mess?" I thought about the anniversary photo, about my comment, about the fact that the only time my family called me 68 times in one night was to protect their image, not my heart. "Yeah," I said, "I'm ready." I hit send. Then I picked up the bank folder, slid it into a neat envelope, and wrote their names across the front with the same steady hand I used for client presentations. We'd agreed to meet at their house on Sunday. Have you ever had to schedule a meeting with your family like you're about to fire a client? That's where I was headed. Sunday, I pulled up in front of the house I'd once saved and sat there for a full minute, engine off, staring. The paint was the same, the porch light still slightly crooked. All the little flaws I'd offered to fix 100 times and been told, "It's fine, Cassie. We like it this way." Now, every untouched chip and crack felt like proof of something deeper. They never fixed anything as long as I was there to hold it together. I stepped inside without knocking. The familiar hallway photos watched me. There I was as a kid, holding trophies they never remembered, standing next to the brother who could do no wrong. My father sat at the dining table, arms crossed. My mother hovered near the kitchen doorway, wringing a dish towel. My brother leaned against the wall, eyes on his phone. A printout of my email lay on the table between them. "So," my father said, trying for calm and landing somewhere near controlled anger, "you've decided to declare war on your own family." I set the envelope from the bank down in front of him and pulled out a chair. "No," I said. "I've decided to stop financing one that pretends I don't exist." For a second, no one spoke. Then my mother tried the familiar route. "Sweetheart, this is all a misunderstanding. We were going to invite you. We just thought, with your work and your mood lately." "You texted me that I wasn't invited," I cut in. "And then you posted family only. Let's not redesign the story now." My brother rolled his eyes. "It was just a caption. You're really going to blow up everything over a party?" I met his gaze. "No. The party was just the ribbon on top of 10 years of using me like a credit card you never plan to pay off." I opened the envelope and slid the stack of highlighted pages across the table. "This," I said quietly, "is everything I've paid toward this house and your taxes since I signed the first refinance. Every transfer. Every month I covered when you were in a pinch. It's all here." My father skimmed the numbers, his jaw tightening. "We said we'd make it right," he muttered. "We just needed more time." "You had a decade," I replied. "And when you needed even more money, instead of asking me, you signed my name to an increased mortgage." I tapped the forged signature. "This is a crime, by the way. If you were anyone else, I'd already have a lawyer." The room went so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. My mother's face drained of color. "We didn't think it would matter," she whispered. "The bank said it was just a click." "It matters," I said. "It matters that the only way you thought you could get what you wanted was by pretending to be me. It matters that you were willing to risk my credit, my future, my work, just so you didn't have to feel uncomfortable for 5 minutes and ask." My brother pushed off the wall, scoffing. "You act like you're some kind of victim. You're successful. You have your own place, your own business. You can afford it." "Yes," I said, "I can afford it. That doesn't mean you're entitled to it. There's a difference between helping family and being treated like an unlimited resource." I took a breath and shifted gears. "Here's what's going to happen. Starting now, I'm done paying for this house. Completely. I've already canceled the automatic transfers. You have 60 days to refinance the mortgage solely in your names or sell the property. After that, I'm initiating the process to remove myself from everything. If the bank needs to investigate how my signature ended up on documents I didn't sign, I won't stop them." My father slammed his hand on the table. "We gave you everything," he snapped. "You owe us. This roof over your head, your education, your life. You gave me the basics you were supposed to give your child," I said, my voice low but steady. "What I gave you in return was extra. I turned my career into your safety net. And when it was time to celebrate, you cut me out of the photo." I leaned back. "I'm not here to negotiate. I'm telling you the terms. You wanted family only? This is what that looks like when family means accountability, not just free money." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Cassie, if we lose this house, where will we go?" The guilt punched me right in the chest. For a moment, the little girl inside me wanted to cave, to say I'd fix it, like always. But another voice, the one that had been getting louder since that comment under the anniversary post, cut through the noise. If I saved them again, nothing would change. "You're adults," I said gently. You'll figure it out. The same way I did when I stayed up at night wondering how to cover your bills and my own. Have you ever watched the people who raised you realize they're about to face consequences for the first time in their lives? And known you're the one holding the mirror? That's exactly where I was sitting. The next week felt like walking through an aftershock. My phone filled with messages that swung wildly between pleading and blaming. My mother sent long texts about memories and holidays. My father sent short, sharp lines about family loyalty and airing dirty laundry. My brother went silent, which honestly was louder than any message he could have sent. On the fourth night, there was a knock at my apartment door. I opened it to find my brother standing there, hands in his pockets, eyes restless. For the first time in a long time, he looked less like the golden child from the framed photos and more like a man whose life had finally hit a wall. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. He glanced around my place. The shelves I'd built myself, the framed prints of my favorite projects, the mood board on the wall for a new client. "Nice," he said. "Did you pay for this one yourself? Or did I sign for it without knowing?" The jab was weak, but I let it hang in the air before answering. "Everything in here is mine," I replied. "Paid with my own money, in my own name, with my consent." Wild concept, I know. He sank onto the edge of the sofa. "They're freaking out," he said. "Dad's talking to the bank. Mom's crying every night. They're acting like you've betrayed them." "Because I stopped letting them use me," I said. "That's what betrayal feels like to people who think they're entitled to you." He rubbed his face. "Do you have any idea what it's like for me? They've always compared me to you. Why can't you be more responsible? Like your sister. Cassie always comes through. Now somehow I'm the one who's supposed to magically fix this without your help." I stared at him. "You mean the way I've been fixing everything for years without anyone's help?" He flinched. "I didn't ask you to pay for my business," he said. "Dad said it was from a refinance." He made it sound like it was his sacrifice. "It was my signature," I replied. "My credit. My risk." "Did you ever ask where the money truly came from? Or were you happy not to know?" He didn't answer. The silence did it for him. "Look," he said finally, "I get that what they did with your name was wrong. But selling the house? Forcing them like this? It's brutal." "So was forbidding me from their party while partying in the house my money kept," I said. "So was forging my name. So was acting like I'm ungrateful for drawing a line." I sat opposite him, leaning forward. "This isn't about me wanting to punish them. It's about me refusing to keep paying for people who won't even admit what they've done. I even gave them a choice: refinance or sell. Take responsibility or let go." His shoulders slumped. "They're talking about asking you to at least stay on the loan while they figure things out. Maybe if you just—" "No," I cut in. "We are done with just this once and just until. If I stay on that loan, they'll never move. They'll never grow up. And I'll never be free." He looked at me then, really looked, and I could see something shift behind his eyes. "You know," he said slowly, "I was always jealous of you. Not because of your job or your money, because they leaned on you. You were the responsible one, the fixer. I was the screw-up." "That's not a compliment," I said. "Being the fixer nearly destroyed me." "I get that now," he murmured. "It's just weird realizing the person you thought was your safety net is cutting the rope." "I'm not cutting the rope," I replied. "I'm stepping out of the net so you can all learn how to land without me." I took a breath. I made them another offer in my head. If they want to avoid any legal mess, they can tell the truth. To the bank. To the extended family. Post it publicly if they want. That I paid. That they forged my name. That they're making it right. Own the story for once instead of hiding it. His eyes widened. "You'd make them admit it publicly?" "If they want me to consider dropping the fraud complaint," I said. Truth is the price, not my silence. Have you ever wondered if blood really means anything when respect is missing? Sitting across from my own brother, realizing we'd both been twisted in different directions by the same parents, that question hit hard. He stood up to leave. At the door, he hesitated. If they do tell the truth, would you forgive them? I stared at the envelope of bank documents on my coffee table, the years of statements, the highlighted betrayal. Forgiveness and trust aren't the same thing, I said. Maybe one day I'll forgive them, but I don't think I'll ever put my name on their debts again. 1 year later, the house I once saved showed up in my feed as a real estate just sold post. Different curtains in the windows, a new coat of paint on the front door, a caption about fresh beginnings, and new memories. I stared at the photo for a long time, feeling not the satisfaction I'd expected, not guilt either, just a quiet, unfamiliar peace. My parents had ended up selling after all. They'd tried the refinance route and hit wall after wall because of the mess they'd made with my name and their credit. Eventually, reality wore them down. They moved into a much smaller rental on the edge of town. No more big parties, no more family-only posts from that perfect dining room. The house got its clean slate before they did. In the months after our confrontation, the fallout was messy. The bank interviewed me about the forged signature. My father's pride took hit after hit. My mother cycled through denial, anger, then this brittle kind of acceptance. Word slipped out among the relatives, not because I blasted it, but because secrets like that have a way of leaking. For once, I didn't rush to control the narrative. I just let the truth do what truth does. One day, my dad called and said, I told them, your aunt, your uncle, our closest friends. I told them you've been helping us for years and that we crossed a line with the loan. I told them we failed you. His voice cracked on that last word, and for the first time, I heard something that sounded like real remorse instead of just fear of consequences. I believed him. A little. I also heard what he didn't say, that he wished I'd kept the secret so his image would stay intact. By then, my life had changed too. My design studio had grown. I'd hired an assistant, taken on bigger clients, and finally booked a trip to New York just for me. Not to chase a job I'd already sacrificed, but to celebrate the one I'd built on my own terms. On a warm evening, I found myself at a long table surrounded by friends, Katie, a couple of clients who'd become family, people who knew me as more than a walking emergency fund. Someone raised a glass and said, "To Cassie, for creating spaces where people actually feel seen." It struck me then, this was an anniversary dinner too, of a different kind. No one here was keeping score of what I owed them. No one here would ever forbid me from showing up. Later that night, back in my apartment, I pulled out an old binder, the one where I'd kept every statement from the house, every receipt, every proof of the years I'd been the invisible backbone of a family that didn't want me in the picture. I flipped through it one last time, then closed it for good and slid it onto the highest shelf. Not gone, not erased, just no longer something I had to carry every day. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A new message from my father. "We drove by your studio today. It looks amazing. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I'm sorry it took losing the house for me to say that." I sat there, staring at the words. Somewhere in another part of the city, my parents were figuring out life without my money cushioning every blow. My brother was learning to run his business with real risk instead of borrowed security. For once, their consequences weren't my responsibility, and my success wasn't something they could quietly claim as theirs. That's the thing about revenge no one tells you. The most satisfying kind isn't dramatic. It's the moment you realize you no longer need the people who hurt you to change in order for you to be okay. It's the day their chaos stops being your job. I hovered over the message, debating whether to respond. Have you ever been in that position? The apology you waited years for finally shows up right when you no longer need it? Do you answer for closure, or let the silence be your final boundary? Tell me what you'd do in my place, and maybe I'll tell you whether I ever texted him back.